started?
Let's do it.
All right. So again, thanks everyone for being here today. We have a panel which is focused on travel and transportation, which WNS has been very grateful to bring us all together. We have a different perspective as we have two leaders from two different industries. I'm going to go through a round of introduction, but we have Sonny Bajaj, which represents BNSF Railway, and Mustafa, who represents the Toronto Airport. I will let you, each of you introduce yourselves, and then I will introduce myself, and then we'll just talk about the impact of AI in our connected industries and how our industries really work together using these technologies and what is changing the way that we live and in the way that things are going to change for us in the future. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, and good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for being here. My name is Sonny Bajaj. I'm with BNSF Railway. We are the nation's largest freight railroad by volume, a completely owned Berkshire Hathaway company. My responsibilities within the company are infrastructure and operations, data, and the practice of AI. I wish I had put a quarter every time the word AI was used in this conference.
Great, well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. So my name is Mustafa Al-Osaj. It sounds French, but it's not French. It's completely Arabic. But my role at Toronto Pearson is I had two kind of areas. One is the transformation of our IT services from a labor arbitrage to a tech enablement services. And the other is oversee the implementation of a few AI capabilities to drive efficient operations as well as better passenger experience.
Hello, everyone. Rich Cabert, WNS, and I want to take a moment for those of you who had the original program and were here expecting to see Gabe Rizzi from Altor. His health has taken a turn for the worse. So for everyone who prays, please add him to your prayers tonight. And for those who don't, since we're in California, just send good vibes out into the universe and hopefully all will be good.
Thanks, Richard. And my name is Carlos Hernandez. I am a managing partner with Avasant. I lead the travel, transportation, hospitality, and logistics practice. I work very closely with railways, airlines, other logistics companies, airports, and so on. And again, what we want to talk about is, we live in a world of interconnected technologies, most in the way we work. We can no longer talk about, how airports work by themselves, just figuring out, how to deal with people, or railways dealing with products, goods, et cetera, et cetera. Now we live in an interconnected world with AI and other innovative technologies have already taken over in the way that we operate today. And like I said, we no longer think of working independently, but now how we, in a connected world, use these different technologies to take us to the next level, but most importantly, what is changing and what is changing in our lives today. We have smart everything. We have personalization, efficiency, sustainability, and predictability, and most of the things that are happening operationally. But it's just no longer just talking about how we're going to generate additional revenue. It's not about the money. It's about how we are living our lives and how everything is changing, especially in these particular sectors where national security is a critical element. Railroads will have to continue to operate. Airports will have to continue to operate no matter what happens. So that is one of the things that makes this particular segment of sectors, very particular. So as we think about how AI has already changed and breaking all the barriers across all of our segments and the way that we live today, we operate, how do you see if the current impact? I want to take this into from two different perspectives. One, what you are seeing today in terms of the impact of the human behavior and the human capital in your organization, and how the organization is thinking of the impact in the future and replacing jobs, bringing more personalization, changing the way we live. Sonny?
Yeah, so I'll speak from a freight perspective, right? Freight always is a safety business. I think everybody wants their freight to show up on the door safely, on time. right? So for us, we call it safety and velocity. And where the railroads have done a decent job as an industry is absolutely making it a part of our DNA over our 175-year plus existence. Now, as AI comes into play, and there is a certain fear, I acknowledge that this can disrupt jobs. The way at this point we have looked at it is where can it augment us? So there is the traditional use cases around Ask HR, Ask LR, finance, procurement. But in a railroad-centric world where there is a lot of risks and exposures for our employees in a pretty unforgiving environment, we are truly evaluating humanoids and what can a humanoid do with agentic that can truly augment some of the risky parts of our business. That is one. The second is, and I don't know if this is truly AI or if it's a bunch of if-then-else nested statements together, automation in train movement. In the commuter space, you can go to New York Metro, they run automated trains, right? But as a regulation, as a country, we mandate a certain safety level, SIL levels we call it, 10 to the power minus 8 failure chance, probability. And for that, when we create that automation, can we guarantee that all the time? And if that premise cannot be met, that is an underlying foundation principle. And if that cannot be met, then we are not looking at productionizing our automation. AI is an underlying assumption in how we build that automation technology.
Mm-hmm. Right. What about from your perspective, Mustafa?
Yeah, no, it's looking at it from a great perspective, looking at it from an airport travel perspective. I think AI is really changing the way we travel, changing processes, actually improving it, if I may say. If you look at it from a passenger experience, predicting experiences throughout the passenger journey, providing recommendations, ensuring that we're personalizing the experience, all the way to efficient operations, predictive maintenance, improving our overall system capacity as well as airport capacity. So I think AI, as we use it today within the airport, has really, well, even though it's at the beginning of its implementation, has really improved the way that we work. But there's so much to be done with AI and the interconnected technologies. The one challenge I would say, kind of again speaking from an airport travel perspective, is the democratization of data. Just because airports really do not operate airlines or aircraft, we do not kind of transport passengers to the airport, but we're actually the integrator. I think the challenge is how do we ensure the share of data between our different players within the ecosystem in a secure manner with enough data that will allow us to drive efficient operations. And I think that's a challenge that we need to kind of tackle together as an industry.
Yeah.
Yep, and I fully agree on playing off the personalization standpoint. One of the key things in travel, airlines, hotels, car agencies and such, is making the passenger feel valued. Because when you're waiting for the train to come, when you're waiting for the plane to come, you feel like a set of cattle. But through hyper-personalization, through Gen AI and AI tools, you can make that experience feel very unique to that person and very valued, particularly when disruptions come. And with all the weather we have going on and everything else, there is more disruptions than there's not.
So, based on your answers, if you take a look at the applied AI in freight, for example, and how, what does the organization value today more, just not platforms, just in a world of platforms, just not models to determine that dominance? What's important? What's what matters the most?
Yeah, I think both of you resonated on that. It's what does the customer want, right? And I call it the Amazon effect that has hit the freight railroads pretty hard is, where is my package now? Where is my package now? And being able to give predictable service still remains a holy grail for the railroads, right? We have the Surface Transportation Board involved, the FRA involved. If service goes bad, there is flooding somewhere, there is earthquake somewhere else, wildfires, we have to move freight. If I bring a 1.5-mile train on your door 2 days before I said I would, you don't know what to do with it. You're not ready, your supply chain is not ready to consume it. If we bring it late, the same thing. So predictability in freight movement becomes big, and that is one of the things our customers want. The other thing we're looking at is talking to our customers through various different engagement platforms and through all the calls coming in to BNSF. What are the other variables? And based on that, we are prioritizing. One of the areas of prioritization for us is with that customer feedback, with their customer want, we leverage AI to build faster. In a platform-centric approach, build services and capabilities for them faster. The second is service efficiency in general, right? I mean, I'll say this many times tonight, or today afternoon, is service and safety. Those are why we exist. And how can we be efficient, effective, predictable in all of those elements? When you couple all of that together, that is the framework on how technology is being built, deployed, leveraged.
I'd like to kind of share a few examples of what we've done just to kind of tackle your question. So the two applications that we've started with at the airport are highly impacting on passenger experience. The first is the baggage. So we've utilized AI capabilities to monitor our baggage systems to ensure that we're driving predictive analytics and predictive maintenance towards our baggage systems, and that really helped us understand the behavior of the systems and knowing exactly when an issue with the infrastructure will happen even before it happens, to help us kind of maintain the system before an issue happens. And that really helped us achieve about 99.5% availability of our baggage systems in 2023. The other application that we've done is on the apron side. So we've implemented computer vision technology on our apron cameras, backed with AI analytics to monitor the entire aircraft turnaround, including all the ground handling solutions, whether it's a fueling, to sewage, to cleaning, to cone and engineers, and matching those with certain SLAs that we have with our ground handling team. The only kind of target to achieve is to ensure, you know what, we're utilizing our real estate to the most effective manner, and ensuring that we're enabling the growth of the airport, enhancing passenger experience, even with our current real estate struggles. So the applications of anything, whether it's on the air side or the land side, really kind of tap into the entire passenger journey, the passenger experience. So ensuring that you're getting your baggage on the right time, or boarding your flight at the right time as well without any delays, all kind of taps into the passenger experience.
Yeah, and one of the best uses for AI in travel is really making interconnectedness work. For example, we have WNS, we have a leading European airline client, and we've linked that airline, hotels, and certain airports together. So if there's a disruption, a whole host of things come into play. One, yes, you get your rebooking options, but most airlines can do that. But if it means a layover, here's a hotel option, and here's offers from the hotel, which is a potential revenue opportunity for them. If you had a car rental booked for the next day, that gets deferred. So it's working those things together. You couldn't do it with humans unless you filled a football stadium full of them. AI really gets you very far down that road. And for this client's example, they improved their net promoter score by 15%. They reduced their refunds by 20% because they provided fast alternatives, reasonable alternatives to the customers, and the customer, before they had a time to get very upset, they had answers. Again, it can't be totally automated. You still need humans involved, because what may look like an obvious solution won't work for some people, because you don't understand, even with all the social media out there, you don't understand their entire situation. So it may look like a great solution, but it just won't work for them. And sometimes you always need to bring in humans. But you can do 90% of it.
So there are multiple use cases, and we hear all the time, different pilots, things are happening. You have, the use case that you have, the same here, what you guys are doing at WNS. But when we move things forward at scale,
Yeah.
when we move things at scale, let's say 3 years from now, that we have an ongoing, non-stop strategy being implemented across the enterprise, then you as leaders, are you designing that AI strategy to for the people or to replace people? Because things are changing every day.
Yeah.
The business models, the business is changing every day. The geopolitical situation is changing every day. Tariffs are changing how we move, how freight works. And then as you do things at scale, what are you focusing on? On serving the peoples or finding ways to accelerate efficiency by replacing people?
Yeah, I can talk about us. We run a pretty lean shop, so we'll be hiring people. That's a good thing. Long term, we haven't at all thought about AI replacing people. Like at our CEO level, at the executive meetings, when we talk about AI status updates on a monthly basis, there is absolutely zero discussion that this is going to talk about human replacement. This is more faster decision making, quick to information, not just data. What our goal is, this team wanted some information, you create a Power BI report, somebody does something in Tableau, somebody does something, to stitch a lot of things together, then to infer intelligence out of it. And our goal is to get to sort of the LLM aspect of generate the information for me, help me making my decision faster. That's how we are thinking about our use cases when it comes to, whether it's again, safety, velocity, whatever we are doing, or customer stickiness.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm the same boat. I don't think AI will completely replace human, at least in the near future. I think what will drive better efficiency. It will enable our teams in focusing on the right things, trying to kind of fix the root cause rather than kind of patching things out. You wouldn't, like even in airport experience, and I think I've written an article about this a few weeks back, you cannot replace a human element. I was going through one of the Middle Eastern airports just a few weeks and realized that a passenger was struggling with digital technology over there. And the only way that passenger managed to kind of move through the airport is by getting human help, right? So you wouldn't be able to replace humans completely, but drive efficiency for sure. And that's why the name co-pilot comes. It's not really a pilot, it's a co-pilot to kind of support you doing your job throughout. But I think what AI will definitely do is change the jobs as we know them today. So a lot of jobs, and I think we've covered this throughout the multiple sessions that we've had throughout the day and yesterday as well, is a lot of jobs will be focusing more on the governance, the strategy side versus the kind of the admin heavy lifting. So I would say we'll only kind of improve the way we deliver our services versus replacing our teams. Is it a concern to kind of replace team members in the future? It's definitely a concern. I think it's definitely a part of the board discussions, the leadership discussions, and strategies are definitely in place to help our team members in terms of elevating their own skills and kind of moving to different parts of the organization after AI comes in and replaces their, I would say, admin jobs or certain jobs that are repetitive. But it's definitely a concern, but I don't really see it happening in the next kind of short term. It will happen in the long term.
And at WNS, frankly, part of our value to our clients is efficiency. So where we can use AI, machine learning, Gen AI to take work out of the system, we do that. And frankly, that does mean we will need fewer people. The broader value is taking away the work that's least compelling to the people. So instead of having them do all the little tip typing to find out what options are, you serve that up. And then they can make that decision saying, this is the right solution. And so now they're thinking as opposed to just matching and running around and doing data. So one, it's a more satisfying role for them. So they're spending more of the time with the end client. versus staring at screens and machines. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is, and somebody touched upon it, it's agility. The ability to pivot that AI and Gen AI provides is unparalleled.
But a lot of the decisions are now being made by AI. And in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll see that even more in our lives and our daily lives. So as decisions are already being made, and they're being made by compute, if you will, not necessarily human interaction or human intervention, how is that going to affect the way that the businesses are run, right? When it's already, in a way, predicted, we talk about efficiency, predictive analytics, it's all data-driven. But when all these decisions have already been made, let's just fast forward, 5 years, when we have a more, mature models and so on, then how's that going to work?
Yeah, wanted to add one thing to the last question, and it's good into this one as well. We are a big union shop, right? And automation cannot create a threat that swings the pendulum around unionization one way versus the other. We have already seen a lot happening across companies. And that's something as leaders we always will have to be aware of. You want to keep that balance in play. Coming to decision making, again, it depends on the risk profile for us. Risk profile, we do detectors all along our wayside. Our locomotive is a data center on wheels, right? We collect a lot of sensor data. We're making decisions real time. Getting to 99.9 may be easier in some cases. Getting to 99.999 may be significantly harder. And sitting here, I don't want to say that I know there is an absolute path in the next 3 to 5 years where the machine will confidently make that nth level decision where it meets your risk profile.
Does that mean that in rail, the maturity of Gen AI and the impact will be at a lower pace than in other?
It will be decision augment, decision assist. The mundane tasks of pushing paper are gone. Of course, they are gone. But as we take on more mature functions to the point of aiding to do more important work, I don't see a reduction in force at scale. Of course, you'll have onesies and twosies here and there, but generally not a disruption at scale. And again, being a union shop, we also have to be aware I could automate the train movement, literally, at least go from a 2-man crew to a 1-man crew tomorrow. We have the technology in place. But there is a lot more than just technology in place. And given the safety standards, we have to work backwards from, say, you could get to this X%, how do you go to the level you give today with a human element? Right? So I don't see that in freight rail just yet.
Right. What about the airports?
I mean, in the airport, there are multiple facets to an airport, whether it's on the passenger side or the operational side, the air side, the land side, dealing with our different customers. So I think we'll have to kind of break those down to kind of look at them separately. But in an ecosystem, I would say it would definitely impact the business model as we know it today. We're already seeing that with passenger experience and the passenger flows, frictionless travel at the moment. So I've traveled through, coming from Canada to here, I didn't even present my passport. It was through kind of biometrics. So it's definitely changing the way we know it to be. But if you look at from the operational side of things, so, and I brought up the baggage example of utilizing AI to sort our baggage and kind of decide which capacity to use, which laterals to use, which carousels to use. Although we'd like to kind of depend on AI as much as possible, we're hindered by our SLAs with our kind of customers as well. Each customer, like an airline customer, for example, has a certain SLA, a certain need. To achieve that with AI, we have to provide rules to AI, and we're overload AI with rules that will it will be kind of the diminishing returns of AI, to be honest with you as well. So I think the industry will definitely change. Security of the industry itself, because it has safety and security standards and regulatory standards, will need to be measured for sure, and AI kind of development will be hindered by those. But we'll see kind of gradual developments, I would say mainly on the OT side of things, the kind of the regular repetitive operations, and on the passenger side. I think on other parts, when it comes to regulatory kind of led functions, that it will kind of take its own kind of pace.
Right.
Yeah. And many decisions can be automated, but human beings are engines of randomness, and it can only go so far. So you always need that pathway out to solve an unexpected issue for the individual. And you can predict all you want, but humans will do things you just never thought they would do. And you can plan as a group, a model works great. For the individual, you never know what's going to happen. And if you put all the trust in the machines, I mean, flying down to come to California, clear, you put your face in the screen, you go through, they couldn't get the machine up. So they took 10 minutes to figure out how to reboot the whole machine just to make it work. So even in the most perfect world, you're still going to need human beings to make things work for everyone.
Just to add to that, if I may say as well, I think what we'll see is an improved engineering capabilities by humans as well, just because what AI will predict and kind of define, we'll have to fix at the end anyways. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can only see an improvement in what we do.
How do you think data privacy and security will evolve in this connected AI world, especially in these sectors where, from the freight perspective, you got to track all these things along the way. From the travel standpoint, we go to different airports. We're leaving a digital footprint everywhere.
Yeah.
So, and then there is the algorithms, there's all the decision, there's just all the things that are happening behind the scenes. Where do you think that's going to take us?
Yeah, privacy lawsuits have hit us in the past as we let our truckers. So for us, if you think of freight rail, there is a first mile, the truck coming in, putting the container in our yard or where we are going to pick coal, ag, input raw material, processed goods. Then there is the middle mile where we are transporting freight on our track, and then the last mile where the trucker comes back and picks the product to take them to their destination, their warehouse or wherever. And we have to interchange data, right? We create an API marketplace. Tomorrow, AI could be augmented, and the implementation around this and the governance, the first keynote we had in the morning, it matters. I mean, we may oversimplify it with process technology people, but some framework has to exist in an organization. Are you giving AI a persona? How does your identity and access management look like as you're giving that AI a persona? Is it impersonating an employee? Is it just a decision assist that he can log in with a certain ID that the system is tracking? Is an API call to a customer only an API call? Is data sharing something different? What is the penetration of this AI agent within the actual data set? How are we able to abstract that? I think that is the type of things we have been thinking on how we implement AI agents.
Right.
Yeah, I think we always talk about privacy and security by design, anything that we do. But it's a major challenge that we face in an industry, and it's I think the number one hinder of kind of sharing data among our kind of ecosystem of partners as well. It's the privacy of information. It's the individuals. We also talk about personalization, and we need to have certain access to data to kind of personalize as well the passenger experience. But how do we balance that? It's kind of finding the right balance between what information we have access to personalize the experience and have a mobility as a service kind of experience. I think what you lead as well. But at the same time, we're all talking about the digital identity and the passenger owning their data, kind of holding them on their phone and giving access to the right level of data to whoever they want. Like we've seen with open banking, for example, it's a kind of a strong concept of digital identity as well. We're trying to implement that in the aviation industry, but it's not a walk in the park approach just because there are multiple partners that require different access to information as well. But I think There needs to be a balanced approach in terms of how we share data, the access to data, and how we try to personalize the experience for passengers as we move forward.
So what you're saying is, all good, what I call good practices, but have you defined an AI governance framework that it is already providing you with the guardrails so that there is, from the ethics perspective, being responsible, sustainable? Has that been defined and implemented in the organization?
At our company, we have the ethics and governance framework. It's me, my boss, the CIO, our CHRO, Chief Legal and Compliance. We meet once a month, look at all the key initiatives. Initiatives is only one piece because there is ethics and responsibility and even liability concerns, frankly, and what we are doing for our customers. Then the next piece is, what are we introducing? I run the community of practice. I want AI to be democratized to every employee and empowered to use it in their workplace. So what are we doing? There could be DeepSeek, there could be this, there could be that tomorrow. So at this point, we have pressed the easy button. Not a good answer, but the easy button was we have blocked every website at the firewall level, and we are only using Azure OpenAI as the playground for our employees to leverage data. The security posture has to improve. We are discovering, I come to these sessions, learn from you all on how this posture could be improved. But that's the current framework.
Mm-hmm. What about the airport?
I would say we have our data privacy principles and policies, obviously driven by regulatory authorities as well and what the regulations kind of say. We're at the beginning of evolving our AI policies and figuring out what that means for us as we head into developing a digital airport. Because at the end, what we want to achieve at Pearson Airport is having a digital twin that really manages the efficiency of the airports across, and we need to have different levels of privacy and access to data. So we're trying to figure that out at the moment with our different partners in the ecosystem to enhance or produce an AI policy that will be scalable for future applications.
Right. I mean, and Rich, from your perspective, when you're working with your customers, is it something that you push your customers to pay attention to as they are evolving and implementing AI across their organizations?
Yeah, it's a cooperative activity because we have opportunities to push them, but we want to make sure that they have their own policies in place to provide the guardrails for their business that we can be operating within. Because as a service provider, if the end client does something that reflects badly on us, that could be an even broader impact across the industry. So it's important that those policies are there, it's important that they're clear, but we all have to realize that's a very evolving world. And as we all know, policies tend to take 2 years to propose, a year to agree on, 2 years to implement, and AI is moving real fast. And there's the company data, company privacy, company proprietary, very important. Individuals, especially the younger individuals, their sense of data privacy is, hey, I'll give everything away except my ATM PIN code if it just makes my life easy. Right. So there's that dichotomy to balance as well.
Right. So I think that when we look at the interoperability of AI across different sectors, the importance of data privacy, security, and how this is really affecting the way that we live our lives today, and help us take things on how we're going to be living and dealing with different elements of adversity that are coming our way. I think that, especially in your segments, is absolutely critical. So I think that we're all going to be paying attention in the years to come, in the months to come, how this is evolving, how quickly this is evolving, and governed in a way that it is sustainable and responsibly done, in a way that the collaboration, the interoperability is actually real. Because that's what, that's what kind of breaks us in many ways, because we operate in silos, and operating by silos is not going to work. And now that we have this element that is just making the decisions and and accelerating the level of efficiency. It's just not only how are we going to reduce cost or generate operational efficiencies, it's just how we're going to be able to behave across the value chain.
Yep.
Any closing remarks, Sunny?
No, we are learning. There is a long way to go, but I think sharpening the saw, we're trying to take our time. And in the end, being driven by what do our customers want in an integrated supply chain. It is not a choice, it is going to happen. And how do I as a customer react to that is one thing. How do as a provider provide that service that I as a customer want? I think that's how we are thinking, but we are sharpening the saw more before we quickly, aggressively take some bold steps.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the travel industry in the future, because of AI and the interconnected technology, whether it's 5G to IoT to data share to anything that's really kind of available out there, it's really exciting. I would say that the travel experience in the future will be seamless, will be frictionless. We need to kind of figure out the challenges around the data democratization for sure to kind of enhance AI applications. But I would say it's something that we cannot run away from. It's there to kind of improve our operations. And I would say that kind of the two things that will really will be a key focus for us is operational efficiency, just because airports are we're contained by our real estate. We cannot grow our real estate by ease, so we need to kind of utilize AI to enhance operations and efficiency. And the second is providing better passenger experience, just because the travel industry is no longer a service industry, it's an experience industry. So kind of enhancing experience through AI.
Yeah, and we are going to see, as the years go by, great strides towards seamless and interconnectedness. The other thing that's working in tandem with that is hyper-personalization. And that's what really boosts the experience for the individual. And so hopefully good things will come. We started with Kevin's optimism in the morning, and it sounds like we're ending it with some more optimism today.
Well, I think that we are out of time, so gentlemen, thank you so much for your inputs and your insights. Appreciate it. I appreciate you joining us in our event, and hopefully there is some good value for the audience as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.